What's up guys, welcome back to Capture by Shan 17. Today we're going to be unboxing the S20 FE. Thank you so much to Samsung South Africa for sending this through. So here you have it. So you have the S20 FE and in the box you get your charger and your paperwork. And yeah, let's get through the phone. So this is probably one of the most hyped Samsung phones, mainly because of the way they've taken the approach of giving us everything we want in a phone. And when you look at it from the outside, they're basically giving you a flagship experience within an already flagship lineup, which to some people may be a bit confusing, but this phone basically takes all the best things from the S20 and some from the Note 20 Ultra and kind of blend it into this phone, and it comes out at a cheaper price as well. So this phone retails around 16,000 Rand, and what do you get for 16,000 Rand? So I have the 128GB Cloud Navy with 6GB of RAM. So feels nice in the hand, quite heavy. Noticeably feels a lot heavier than the Note 20 for some odd reason. I don't know if it's just the construction of the phone or is it just me. But it does have that matte finish that the Note 20 has as well. What it does is it basically has a lot of the features, from the flagships from Samsung. This is currently running the Exynos 990, very similar to the Note 20, which I just unboxed. So if you can just click that link, I'll leave it up here somewhere. And it basically gives you that flagship experience, but with something that is even a little bit better than the Note 20 is if you go into high. And here you can see it, you have your 60Hz mode and your 120Hz mode. This obviously just allows you to get that smooth. Let's get into a menu where you can kind of see that. You get that nice smooth looking scroll. And what it does, it's basically, easy on the eye. It's nothing too game changing unless you're playing actual games where you can see the work of a 120Hz display and seeing the frames, and it's a much smoother experience and less latency, if you want to put it that way. But again, the thing is, with a 4,500 milliamp hour battery and such a beautiful display, that 120Hz is definitely going to be sucking a lot of battery. So it depends on what you're doing. Maybe it's best to switch between the 60 and the 120. It would have been nice if there was an adaptive mode as well, which allows you to kind of toggle. Well, it would do it automatically and toggle between the two. But it is what it is. And one of the main things that Samsung have really been focusing on over the past 2 years is their camera. So here you have your 3 camera layout, and you can just set it down here. So you have a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and an 8 megapixel telephoto. And then moving over to the front is where I see they've put a lot more emphasis on in this model is the front facing camera, which is 32 megapixel. And basically, it comes back to what I was saying with the Galaxy A31, is that this camera is becoming more important than some of the cameras on the back, mainly because of the platforms that are now in existence. Your TikTok, your IGTV, or IG stories, or IG reels. So many ways of making content, and this is basically turning into what cameras usually have with a flip out screen. This is basically your flip out screen and your camera. And yeah, again, the screen again is where you can maybe take advantage of consuming content here with your Netflix and your YouTube. 120Hz display for gaming. That's where they've put a lot of focus on. And then as well with the camera, the experience, using the phone straight out of the box, first impressions, feels smooth. I will say that the screen has a more noticeable bezel all around, and even more noticeable on the chin, which is quite thick. The selfie camera, even though it is one of the best selfie cameras Samsung have made, they have decided to put a silvering accent on it for whatever reason they may have. My thoughts is, you don't want to make your cheaper phones too nice where it starts hurting the more expensive phones, and it's kind of what this phone is going to end up doing. I mean, if you look at what this phone packs in, it has night mode, it has all those fantastic modes that you find in your flagship Note 20, Note 20, Note 20 Ultra. If you go into here, you can see the modes. You have Pro, Panorama, Food, Night. So with this device, the night mode is probably going to be the best thing that you know, especially if you're coming from an older phone. You know, when things are not so well lit, you can, you know, still get a great image. It just the only thing that you have to do is basically stand still for it. You know, just hold the camera as still as you can for 3 to 7 seconds, depending on how dark the screen is. And what's nice is that it works with all 3 cameras, and they're not kind of limiting you just to the main sensor. What else do they have? So they have their nice little presets as well. Your video. What video features do we have here? So rear video, you can get 4K 60 frames per second, which is nice. It allows you to get a bit of a smoother image as well. You've got your front video, which is maximum at 4K 60 as well, and that's quite impressive. This again speaks to the volume of how TikTok and IG TV have, you know, dictated the way, you know, manufacturers are building their phones and their products to match that platform, is by, you know, adjusting the way you look at these phones. And then some of the other things you can do is you have HDR10 plus. Obviously you've seen Apple come out with, you know, Dolby Vision. This is a slightly different one, not as, you know, intense as that, as Dolby Vision, but it is HDR10 plus, which means if you are viewing it on an HDR10 plus device, which most phones are these days roundabout, you will see that high dynamic range implemented, as long as you can view it on a display that supports that. So yeah, you have your pro video mode as well. It allows you to basically, you know, access more control over the video, whether it be your manual focusing, your ISO, your white balance, those kind of things. Instead of having the computer of the device take care of that, you can basically have more control over the phone. And again, the Exynos 990 will allow it to feel like a more fluid experience. This is exactly the same chip that's in the Note 20, and that phone, well, the phone I use, the Note 25G, is roughly 10,000 Rand more, close to 10,000 Rand more. So to see that in this price point, very nice. I think it also shows the willingness from Samsung to include every single thing that they can in a phone and not undercut you while still taking your money. But yeah, guys, that's, you know, my first impressions on the device. Coming from the Note 20, definitely see a lot of similarities of how, you know, the S20 and the Note 20 line are kind of meeting at this point, which is the S20 FE. But that's it for now. Stay tuned for more. I'm definitely going to be testing out this camera, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.